Good morning and then good evening in India. My name is Doug Brunke. I'm the founder and CEO of Global Chamber. I've had the very great honor to visit India many times during my career, which it was mainly through the DuPont company where I visited India and been able to go to a wedding, become friends with some amazing people all over the country, mainly in the manufacturing, automotive, aerospace, parts, supply chains, also some chemical areas. DuPont is a chemical company, but I was mainly in polymers and materials, rubber, plastic, and additives and things like that. And just had an amazing time every time I visited India. Lived in Singapore and Japan, and I'm originally Polish, German, American, mainly from New York, and I live in Los Angeles today. Been to 65 countries and traveled to 49 states. And so I've seen a few things. And during all of that time, one of the things that inspired me to start Global Chamber was the lack of exporting by American companies. Only about 12% of the US GDP is exports. And when I say exports in that context, it's more product exports. The service side of exports is better for the US. The US does that pretty well, but products, it doesn't. And that bothered me. I'm on the Arizona District Export Council. I've been on that for a dozen years. I've been traveling internationally for 38 years. My first trip was to Korea 38 years ago. And and through all of that, I recognize the opportunity of foreign markets. I understand that people don't aren't as successful as they should be. There's a lot of reasons why. It's exporting is a little more complicated than selling across the street. There's requirements and compliance and understanding different markets, understanding how people respond to us just in conversations and doing business. There's 195 plus countries in the world and hundreds of different cultures. It's been said that the United States itself has 14 cultures just within the US. And I think those of you who've had experience in the US know, like India, there's no Indian persona. There's many, many, and in India, there's many more. If 14 may not sound like very many compared to India, but it is significant, and it's important, first of all, to know that those exist if you plan to come to the U.S. and expand business in the U.S. and be aware of those differences in your conversations, in your approach, and how you export. So going back to why people don't export more, I looked at that as a challenge. I recognize that if we could create an organization that was everywhere in the world, that would help. We would have to have people who are smart and connected and trusted and ethical. That's also a lot of the reason why sometimes things don't work out, where you run into someone, you find someone and you find out, even though in the beginning it seemed to be good, you find out they aren't honest, or there's some issue, or they go out of business for whatever reason. There's things that happen along the way that damage success. And so we keep working on ways to reduce that, to reduce the risk, to increase success, to increase good connections. And that's really the fundamental of Export League. Global Chamber itself is a chamber of commerce that's everywhere. The intent there is for, on a daily basis, for members to be successful and for our network to help and support them. And when they need connections, we make the connections. Export League takes that to the next level. It says, hey, you're an exporter. You've hopefully had some experience with exporting. You want to take it to a next country. In this particular program, we're going to be talking about India to the US and keeping that focus. And so the whole process will be what I described, but very specifically, each exporter will understand what their products and services are, will understand who they want to meet, and then through training and through understanding of culture and all the other things that you all have some knowledge of. The goal, however, for us going forward is to get everybody who's in Export League to a high enough level so that when conversations are happening, the exporter feels comfortable, and everybody feels comfortable with not just a connection, but moving it forward and and how to respond when it makes sense not to move something forward. Is that person saying yes or no or maybe or delay, etc.? Those are the things that we all do on a daily basis within our own culture. When you start doing that across cultures, it can be a little tricky. When I think about cultures that I'm very comfortable with, US culture and all 14, I feel pretty good about. Japan, I actually feel very good about, and maybe in some ways better than America, because the US or Japan, there seems, at least, based on my own uh, uh, experience and that of others, including Japanese, that there's a uniformity in Japan that helps business. You just have to understand what that is. In the US, there is some differences across and people's persona and things like that. The US is full of immigrants, and immigrants can take on behavior that could be from wherever they're from. So it's more complicated in the US, quite honestly, than Japan. The Middle East, I'm not comfortable with. I have not done very much business there, and I personally don't feel comfortable about how to call people and how comfortable to be with them, and like anything with body kissing and hugging and things like that. The book Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands is a great emblematic story about, like, in Japan, you're not going to necessarily shake hands with someone. You might do the appropriate kind of bow. In the US, of course, if you're going to meet in person, you're going to give a handshake of some sort. If it's a man to woman, it might be different, and somebody might want to hug or kiss on the cheek, etc. So these are all challenges in the intercultural aspects of getting to the point where you're doing a sale, you're developing a relationship over a long period of time. We will get into all of that, but the focus with Export League is understanding each exporter and understanding who they want to meet and making those connections. One of the best people that I know in the world that does that is Cesar Trabanco. He runs our Global Connection Center in Ponce, Puerto Rico. Through that, every day, every hour within every day, Cesar is collecting information about members. He'll be collecting information about each company in the Export League and identifying people to make a connection to be able to make a prospective client conversation happen, and for that exporter to be able to move that forward. Cesar, would you like to talk a little bit about how that process works and anything else maybe either that I forgot or might be confusing?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Doug, and hi, everyone. Cesar Tabanco here from the Global Chamber. And I was listening to you, Doug, and I was thinking, I can handle the hugs and kisses and all that stuff from the cultural side without any problem. So I guess it's everyone's background is different, and that's the magical of the business in the world. So when it comes to connections, normally the companies that enroll into the export leagues, once they go through the different sessions and they learn about the different opportunities and things, like in this case in the US, like cultural, like maybe finance, distribution, the different law, for instance. Once they go through all those sessions, we normally ask the questions, like what would be the best connection for them. and then we will start making connections within our membership and our network in a way to facilitate that process of exporting from India into the US. We do them one on one by email mainly, and or alternatively we can use LinkedIn and other ways to make those, even WhatsApp for instance, which I know is very popular for doing business in India. And so then that way the companies that are exporting, they go out of this program with knowledge, but also with some actions to take afterwards. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to mention, Doug, and I know you summarized it very well as well.
Very good. So for us, the aspects that make it fun and for us and also for the exporters is that we're continuing every day to build our network and to know as many people. We'd love to know everybody. We don't, but we have access to a lot of people. So that's one key aspect of what we're providing here. Number two is to really ask the questions and to learn what each exporter is best at and how best to help them and who to introduce them to. And so we make that hopefully as easy as possible to get to the right people. And so we do that in all sorts of ways. Cesar mentioned about building our network, not just with members of Global Chamber, but our overall, our network within the community. And so that's a key aspect of it. And then there's a follow-up often that helps, where we've been through this enough to know that sometimes things go off track, or somebody is trying to communicate one thing and it's unclear where we are in the process. I had that this morning with somebody I've been working with for a couple of years in Romania, and the relationship stopped and it reconnected because she reconnected to me, and I explained one little thing, and then suddenly it was like, oh, why aren't we working together? It's like, well, things went off the track. And so this third aspect of what we do through Export League is check in with the exporter, find out what's going on, and hopefully know enough to be able to either re-engage with a prospect or troubleshoot, and find ways to move things forward or stop them. If something's not working with a particular prospect, let's learn from that and adjust. Maha, thank you for your leadership. One of the things that's been so impressive for me about you is that you deeply know exporting. And so that's going to be a strong asset for all of the exporters that are part of this program. Ultimately, they do need the other side, the connection of what's happening in the market. How do I get to a client? Give me a client that will help. That's hard for you or anyone in another country to do. That's what we'll provide. But you've got, from your side, the perspective of over and over again been able to help exporters get to foreign markets. And so thank you for bringing that and your overall knowledge and passion around exporting to help companies be successful. Would you like to take the next step and explain a little bit more?
Thank you so much, Doug. Yes, I would love to. Thank you, everyone, for being here. So the idea of Export League, already Global Chamber is already doing the Export League for USA, for the Arizona-based exporters. So why we are doing it from India to USA, that Consult Prabha, Global Chambers and Consult Prabha doing it together. What is the fundamental purpose behind this? So to be very honest, it would be dream of every Indian exporter to export to USA. USA is one of the topmost trading partners for India, and the generic medicine is the top in the list, but different other products India does export. If we look at China and India, we are very different in nature. If you want something very massive, the infrastructure production, the pricing people go into, mostly for massive production. China had always been the top destination. But when it comes to India, Indians usually provide 360-degree solution. That's the beauty of Indian businesses. We don't just stop at some standard products. Of course, we have certain products which we have the highest expertise or hands over or the market share in the world. Now, if we see one thing is, I have a small presentation so that everyone is able to connect very well. So, Consultraba, we focus on our methodology or process called reverse sourcing method framework. So, what is this reverse sourcing method framework? Reverse sourcing method is all about, instead of hunting after buyers, instead chasing after people, how to position our business with a clarity of why we exist, why someone should come and do business with us. That's the focus. Position ourselves with the requirement of the buyers or with the need of the market. That's what called as reverse sourcing method. So the main purpose, if we see the reason behind, we will see the reason for lack of sales, what is the solution for regular export sales, and how this is an opportunity for export businesses, Export League, and the strength of Consultraba and Global Chamber. So as Doug mentioned, I am one of the co-founder of Consultraba, where I started as an exporter from since 2011. So I started as an exporter. But once in every 3 months, I can close orders at the least. But when I come across different exporters, even the exporters who are in the business for quite some time, what we have seen is they lack a proper network or proper consistency. This is the two key area that puts a business in struggle. That's when reverse sourcing method for consistency, for the systematic approach, we formulate. As exporters, we have an exporters community. So I've been already a guest consultant of Federation of Indian Export Organization, which is the apex body of Indian exports. FIO promotes all the trade policies from India through FIO. And also I have an opportunity to be part of Global Chambers Global Advisory Board for Bengaluru. And yes, we have clients from Pan India and abroad. So if we see what is most important for any business to grow, customers. So customers from sales, but how sales happen. Though we know these are important, why exporters are struggling to get export orders. The first thing what we see is every one of us, we need to know who will buy from us, right? So if we see the marketing process, Indian marketing process, people hunt after or go after leads or leads information through port data, through B2B portals, trade fairs, exhibitions, digital marketing, social media presence. But if we see in all of this, especially if we see custom data and B2B portal, which is a very popular common mode of finding the buyers, there is no warm introduction, right? There is no connection between the buyers and the suppliers. And when the exporters start connecting with them, they don't get proper response. Sometimes the exporters do not know how to communicate. As Doug was explaining about the culture, culture plays a very important role. And the most important thing, exporters lack a support system, because a B2B portal or exhibitions or someone conducting exhibitions or trade fairs, they are not going to uh, completely look into your marketing strategy or what is your strength in business, why someone should buy from you, how you can effectively do business in a market. These things do not come with trade fairs or exhibitions or country visits. Yeah. How many of you agree this? Have you
That
ever
makes sense.
experienced? Yeah. And so how can this be fixed? So this is where what we have seen is Global Chamber. They're very strong, and of course they do connections in different industries, different sectors, different level of connections, different events that happen through Global Chambers. That's fantastic. So making, how about having our own team, our own partners who are interested, who are interested in helping us grow. That's what since the day one I've seen with Global Chambers, I've seen with Doug or Cesar. Whenever I send a mail or whenever I'm looking for a connect, they make it the top priority, take care of the members. That's one thing that always stood out. And their willingness, their openness to be available for the members, available for Global Chamber clan and community and tribe. So this is amazing, because when you have someone who knows about your business, who sees your effort, who can recommend you, a lot of things becomes easier. But if you see, as USA, it is highly a regulatory market, which is very different from India. In India, yes, one saddest part when I was in UK, when I was attending one of the meeting, a high consulate meeting, one of the UK based consultant, a market expert, he said, if you have to do business with Indians, you should know about jihad. They are very good at jihad. But for Indians, is that things we have smart way of doing things, but does not work out in the international market. That's one of the scariest things. Even for I've heard from many importers, whether they are from Europe, whether they are from any other country or USA, that fear is this person telling the truth? Whether what they say and what they do doesn't match. We have to, this is a harsh truth, and I have a problem. I cannot have the truth. And I put it plain, black and white, because I believe that's the way we can fix things. Maybe not Indian way of doing things, or it may not know the Japanese way of saying things, but how would we?
Uh-oh.
I think
We lost Maha, didn't we?
Yes, we did. We did. No worries. Yeah.
Oh, hi, Nikhil.
Yes.
How are you? Good to see you, or good to hear you.
Good to see you, Mr. Doug. Yep.
Yeah, thank you for joining Global Chamber, and also, what do you think of the conversation here so far? Or what makes sense? Welcome.
You're literally asking somebody who's who's been doing this for more than 25 years. But yes, I think different views, different perspectives. I think let Ms. Maha continue. I think we'll keep it at that. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Duck. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for your leadership and your knowledge. I think for us, and you bring up a great point, when the more experienced exporters are much easier for us to work with for many reasons. I remember there's a member from Armenia, and when they joined Global Chamber, they were doing business in 82 countries, and they very quickly added 3 or 4 countries to that by joining Global Chamber. But they were very easy to understand their product and their service. They had an understanding of the value that they have and the ability to sell it in another country. And so adding to an experienced exporter is so much easier. It doesn't mean we won't work with people that are new. It just means that it's a faster process typically for people like you, Nikhil. Maha, are you back?
Yes, I'm back. I didn't know how, I was just thrown out of the meeting.
Yeah, no
Sort
worries.
of internet.
Yeah, we got just until you probably realized you were out. So we seem to get you're breaking up a little bit, but for the most part, I think we're picking up what you're saying. Please continue.
Okay, so I'll just quickly come to the point. Yeah. When I just entered, I heard a good laughing sound. I was very curious to know what is the perspective of others in the room, as well as Mr. Nikhil was saying, different perspective and different angles. Yes, that's what I've seen from Indian exporters. We need to be systematic. We need to be organized. We should know what to do in the business day in and day out. And the life becomes really easier when we have a trustworthy contact in USA, because USA is a highly regulatory market. I'm just going to switch my internet access. Just please bear with me for a minute. I'm going to quickly. Yeah. Hope I'm much clearer now than before. Is it okay?
Yep, so far so good.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone of you. So the purpose of Export League is to make it easier for the exporters with different experiences, but you have very good hands over the product. The whole process, Consul Prabha will bring the export strategy process, your how to position yourself for the US market, providing you with the database of US business, whom you can do business with, how to communicate, how to position yourself, your product for the market, and build up your presence, even the digital presence or your marketing presence for exclusively for US market. So from Global Chamber, we'll have our expert-led sessions helping us understanding the customs regulations, policies, how the market functions in US, how the businesses function, when is the right time to approach, how a typical sales process will take time, when we are planning for, again, Consul Prabha will also touch on this, when we are planning for business from India to USA, what are the different angles we should be prepared with, samples, financial commitments, order timeline. So from end to end, right, from understanding the export opportunity for your product till executing the orders, how you should be prepared, how you should present yourself, mainly how to position yourself for the US market being an Indian exporter. So that's what Consul Prabha will bring on the table, along with the business database, which you don't have to worry about getting from anywhere else. So this is what I want to say, but we are open for questions because I could see Sanjit's hand is up already. So.
Thank you, Doug,
Okay.
and thank you, Mark. It's very good to know that there is an organization which is helping companies from India to grow in US. So my question here is, how does Global Chamber really helps to close customers in US? I've seen that more success usually comes through conferences, events, and of course a close proximity with the Indian or US consulates. However, if there is an organization who already have a existing database, that would be really helpful. But having a database is one, and converting those to a customer is it seems to be just one step, but it's a thick line. Now I'll give you my background. I also run an initiative which is Namaste Global, with a vision of making India for global and a mission of bridging India and US. My story is, even we have a call today in Indiana, so my story, just summarizing, is from India to Indiana. The words are so similar, and that's been my journey. Of course, I'm like a kid in front of Doug because he has a vast experience. But we have 100+ companies from India. Which honestly, I will be very honest that very few of them we have been able to help them to grow. but would love to know about that. And coming next month, we ourselves are launching our product line, Namaste Wellness in US, which is all coming from India, herbal products. But still, getting customers, right? That's the most important part of any business. So how would Global Chamber, like coming back to my question, Global Chamber would help any companies from India in terms of closing the customers, and how? Thank you.
That's an amazing question. That I hope you can hear me as well because I've just got my earphone. Um, from my point of view, I like to say when we say sales, when we look at sales, yes, at the end of the day, the customer decides with whom they want to do business, right? But should be a very strong why. And especially what I've seen, we have exporters who are exporting to US markets even before adapting our process of reverse sourcing method. But how did it help them? They doubled the revenue within a year because they were shooting the arrows all across. Like there are 12 types of buyers in the international market. Like example, wholesalers, distributors, let's say niche. If someone is targeting, say for example, wellness, if you're focusing on vegan wellness, then vegan is a niche category. You cannot expect the response from vegan specialized retail chains the same like distributors. Yes, distributor is going to ask, have you already placed the product here? Yeah, because your distributor will work with either he need to have how fast your product can move, and do you have any success stories, and especially what will he do if there is a dead stock. But if the product is positioning for, if you're positioning it for vegan or superfood based wellness store, you have to present the proof, or you have to present the proper documents. Whatever you're claiming that your wellness product will do, it has done. So the expectation of the buyers is different, and communicating that consistently matters, and especially things someone is going to refer. Of course, the sales will close on only three things. One, your offer, your ability to match the competition. That's the strategy is all about. How to position yourself. The first one, understanding who is your ideal customer, how to position yourself. Second one, to be very honest with you, money is in the follow-up. We send one mail and then we don't do it. But then how do we match up our sales strategy as per yours business style? Who will teach us? Who can teach us better than a US business? Like we know how things will sell in India. Yes, we know much better. That's one of the challenge. Like, yes, I'm based out of South, you're based out of North. We have a lot of exporters from North, Gujarat, Maharashtra. We know the mindset differs from state to state. Like Doug was saying, 14 culture. How do we know which culture we are targeting? So sales core of, so that's from my side. I'm sure Doug or Cesar or the veterans in the room can also answer this question.
Yeah,
So
thank you, Maha.
I would say generally to answer the question about Global Chamber, both generally and in Export League, there are 6 things that we add along the way. And thank you for the question, because it allowed me to come up with what those 6 things are, maybe hopefully a little bit more clearly. Number 1 is, and quite honestly, this is almost always an issue. The first thing is, who is the best client for you? And the best client for you in India, it may be different than the one in Malaysia and the one in the US, et cetera, right? So we're all real smart people, but we all have a hard time really understanding, even us for Global Chamber, understanding our product or service and how the person receiving it, who the best ones are. If we really dig deep and we have questions that we ask, like who's your best, and when we get an answer that's off target, we keep coming back to who is the best client. And almost always that's a process to get to it. So number 1, that's That's how we help. Number two is when we understand what the products and services are and we know who the best clients are, we'll have suggestions about how to go about the market. I remember one member who gave us a list of specific companies that they wanted to meet. And from that list and from what they had described as their best client and who they wanted to meet, we could add a bunch more of people who they should meet, but they hadn't imagined that because we were making suggestions based on what they were telling. Not that they weren't smart, they're very smart, but just it helps with another perspective, especially those of us that have some sort of a global view. And when I say us, I mean collectively, 525 chapters and a variety of people and the amazing Cesar Trabanco. You want all of those people on your side. They always have suggestions. Number three is the introduction itself. And technically what that almost always is an email that's from John and Mary and connecting them and why they should be connected. And we often see nearly, very high percentage of time where there's an actual conversation that happens from that. Sometimes both parties ignore it. Sometimes one party ignores it. We'll often get involved in that whole process to bring them together. Usually if there isn't a response the first time through, just hey guys, did you able to meet? Usually that gets almost all of the time, it gets them together. Sometimes it's an email problem or a server problem. Technically that's just kind of a thing that we work through. So the third thing being just the introduction itself. And then number four is the troubleshooting or the reaction and how to move things forward. We're happy to be there to hear what they heard and what we know. And I've told this story, I'll tell it very quickly, how we introduced a telemedicine company in the US to a technology company to a health service provider in Argentina. And it was such a perfect, this is like a no-brainer. CEOs of both companies, this should happen. A month later, I got a text from Argentina, just the question, why did you introduce me to these people? Which wasn't a good thing, right? They were upset, and it turned out they were upset and they weren't talking to each other, and there was a misunderstanding, and ultimately the US company fired two people. There was some sort of an issue going on with they weren't listening, but ultimately they in Argentina became the #1 telemedicine company, but it wasn't like straight line. It wasn't like we make an introduction and everything works perfectly. Things happen. So there's a troubleshooting process that we're happy to get involved with. And a fifth thing is training, and Maha intimated around that, around culture and regulations and other aspects of exporting. And then number six would be other resources. So the connections we're making primarily are clients, but invariably a lawyer might be involved, or maybe a bank if you're going to be putting something in there, or a partner of some sort that might be able to help you. So those are the six things that the Export League is all about.
That's very helpful. Thank you, Doug. And I'm looking forward, as I said, because we started as a consulting with our initiative, helping Indian companies to grow here. However, the success was very small. I'll be very honest. And I'm a field guy. I'm always on the field in US, specifically running to all these conferences. And it's a huge money. Or exhibiting at these conferences. So I'm also trying to figure out a way which is easier, as in the steps should be cut down with the cost to be lowered. And second is, of course, what I've seen with the tariff changes happening, there's a lot of traction from US towards India, specifically in wellness, healthcare, pharmaceutical products. So would love to know more, and I will also be joining the Indiana webinar today, because I'm based out of Indiana here.
Oh, good.
Indianapolis.
Good.
So would love to know more about it and get associated with yourself and Maha for sure. Thank you.
We'll see you there. One of my own personal frustrations was watching companies try to export, and there was one guy that really he went to Asia 5 times and he still didn't have any business. So the concept of like spending a 2-week trip and meeting all these people, he had done that 5 times and still did not have any business. And I thought, oh my God, the cost involved with planning each trip and staying at hotels and meeting all these people and the time required. I mean, we know that whole process, those of us that have done international business. And at some level, you have to do travel, you have to meet people. But what if there was a way of doing some of that virtually to be able to scout through the different opportunities and narrow it down and maybe focus in on cutting out some time to travel and the cost involved with travel? That was a lot of the process of Global Chamber overall of why we exist. And Export League is just intended to take it to the next level to help exporters very specifically cut out a lot of wasted time of just traveling and having a cup of coffee with someone who may never be a client. How much can we do online? How much can we do because we trust each other? If we are doing business, and if Maha, for instance, gave me an introduction to someone, she knows me well enough and I trust her well enough that if she gives me an introduction to someone, I'll take the meeting. I'll do that meeting and I'll do it virtually. I don't need to travel to India and have a cup of coffee with that person because they're vetted. She knows them. She trusts them. And because I trust her, I trust this third person. And that's the concept that we want to bring to more people in India so that they don't have to do all these different trips. They can save all of that money and streamline the process.
Oh, that's very helpful. Thank you, Doug. Thank you.
And you mentioned trade shows. Trade shows are still good, right? If you go to the
yeah.
right trade shows, there's, those are fantastic. This is not intended to be a replacement for everything else. It turns out, that there's a lot of different ways to win. Everybody needs to have a LinkedIn profile and have it strongly. If there are trade shows that make sense, go to the trade shows. There's all sorts of ways to move your business forward, and this is just another one.
Oh, yes, I would totally agree. LinkedIn is very important. That's the first thing when I start my day. Apart from my own self time, the LinkedIn is right now the most effective tool virtually. That's what I've seen. But of course, yes, the events and the conferences are really helpful as per what I've seen. But yes, if there is any other cost economical way like yours, I would love to explore the synergies.
That sounds good. And I don't want to diminish the concept of having resources all around us. Tamina Watson is in this call today. She's an expert on entrepreneurialism. She's an expert on immigration. She's someone that everybody should know that's doing business into the US and into Canada. And so those kinds of people are who we call the global tribe, people who we know and we trust and have ethics and professionalism and can help people with all of the soft things and the hard things that need to be done. So Tamina, thank you for your leadership, and you're a great example of the global tribe.
Thank you for mentioning it. I really appreciate it.
Any other questions?
Yes, Doctor, I would like to. Am I audible? Am I audible? Hello.
Hi, RT. How are you? Good to see you. Good evening.
I'm good. I'm good. Good evening. I would like to ask a question to Maha. This is from the perspective of my members who are looking for doing a business in the US, especially the SMEs. So what specific sectors or products categories from India currently have the highest export potential in the US market? Can you, I mean, I know this can be a long list, but if you can just specifically point certain things out.
Thank you, Ati. Amazing to see you. When I was thinking of Export League, Yes, I was sure like you would be interested because you're always mindful of your members' growth. The beauty of US is open to new products which are variable, which can bring an outcome. So, as you said, the out of 5,000 plus 6-digit HS code, India exports anything from rotten egg to defense. And with our recent success on the borders, uh, our stocks are always on high. So I cannot pinpoint on products, but if you can send us, of course, with Doug CC and our team CC with the product list, we can give you I can give you an idea of um, how, because that's a valid question. If they say, okay, they can achieve, at least they could look at the market size, or this is the reasonable thing they can do, we can give you that idea. Is that okay, Doug? Do you think that should be fine?
That should be fine. Sure.
Yeah. So that, because I understand, I also need to have an idea of, because I remember you talking about people doing something related to green fertilizers, or related to agro, related to different things, right? So yes, and
Yes.
Dhamina, yes, Dhamina also wanted to add something. So if that was, I hope I answered, Aarti, right? So that you have something very
Yes,
solid to
yes, yes.
present to your members.
Yeah, because we have diverse verticals, where the members are concerned. Like I have people from pharma, wellness, agri, green energy. So, because and most of the time, most of the time, percentage people are looking out for export market once they have established their business out here. So that's where the main part comes, when we have to handhold them and help them to go global. So from that
Yes.
perspective, I asked this question. Yes, thank
Yes,
you.
we can, when we have a idea of specific company profile or the product or their experience, it makes it easier for us to give the answer whether this export league program would be suitable for them, or it matter. But anyway, if someone is interested in USA, I don't think there would be a better way for them to be completely prepared and ready to launch or ready to scale than Export League. I have been part of different consultations, trade fairs, exhibitions. I see one thing is lack of preparedness as a business owner, not having a proper strategy in place or right network in the host country, or the country where the trade fair is happening. Definitely that gap will be hugely filled, effectively filled with the fraction of cost what people would always spend. So, yeah.
See, most of the time, what queries or doubts we get, or the problems what we hear from the SMEs, especially, is the key compliance and the regulatory challenges they face, when they start the process. This is the main thing. So I think that is the big area where we have to handhold and help them get over these hurdles.
And it comes from different angles. Jermeel Lewis Johnson is another person here that's a trusted resource in the United States, and she imports all sorts of things, live animals and agricultural products and manufactured goods and things like that. She knows the regulations to be able to do that. Those of us like me, I mean, I think of it in terms of the strategy of market research, and here's my product, and is this going to work, and how do I go to market? Do I use a partner, a distributor, an agent, and things like that? There's that slice of the marketing and the sales process, and then there's the, like, how do I actually get this product into the country? And what happens, like what happened to one of our members, where she was exporting some lift trucks, used lift trucks, and the Customs Border Patrol did an erroneous inspection of it, cost almost $20,000, charged her for it. They shouldn't have done it. They then, because of the delay, caused almost $200,000 worth of damage to the products. And then the customer on the other end was upset in a variety of other ways. And so it was potentially a multi-million-dollar problem caused by the government. So now what does she do? And she's taking them to court, it looks like. And we have the resource to be able to get to the lawyer who can help her move forward. So Jermeel, thank you for all the work that you do. Can you say hi and just either, did I say anything wrong there? Well, she may not be able to chat. So Jermil's based in New York, and she may not be available at this moment. But those are the kinds of resources like Tamina and others in the room that we have access to. So sorry to interrupt, Maha.
Hey, Doug. Sorry about that. Yeah, you
Oh.
most definitely have to do a lot of research before you import anything. When you don't do that, it costs you a lot of money. I actually had a client that spent probably close to $6,000 because they didn't properly research everything beforehand. So if you reach out to me before you do that, I'm a customs broker based in New York. I can help you out with the research process to make sure you avoid those penalties and fees.
Thanks, Jermil. Thanks for all that you do. Maha, and anything else? Uh-oh, did we lose Maha? Oh, there you are. Yeah, you're there.
I'm here. I think Tamina wanted to say something. I saw in the chat box.
You thank you, Maha. No, I don't necessarily need to say anything, but what I will give you is maybe a quick roadmap. Those who want to do business in the United States, obviously you need a visa to come in, and more often than not, people will start with what's called a B1. B2 visa. It's a tourist visa to come and explore, look at various locations, look at meet with clients, potential, customers. These are allowed on a B1, B2, and you can actually, and this is going to be very careful in this day and age with this administration to understand what is allowed on a B1. And what I might do, Doug, is I was just quoted in The Guardian recently. I'll send that article. That becomes a starting point to come to the US, but there comes a point where you need to be here. I've seen that over again with a lot of my clients from India. You have so much traction that now you have to be in the same time zone. You have to be in the proximity of your clients, and at that point, you need a work visa. What is the right visa for you depends on your circumstances, your facts, your goals and dreams. A lot of times these days, my clients from India will say, I don't want to go to the US. I'm just going to send my manager. And so there are different, goals and desires that people have, and those visas will depend on those facts. So my visa guide book that came out a few years ago, and I'm very grateful for Doug for all of his support. It goes through every single visa category, and it gives you a guidance on what is for you and what it isn't. And so it's a starting point, at least, so that while you're doing the research with Jamil and you're figuring out your steps, the book could be a resource for you.
Maha, just we're right about at time, just so that we've got kind of keep to some regular schedule. Could you just kind of update us on what the overall plan is? I know there's more programs, or at least one more program like this to attract companies into the program. Could you explain a little bit more about that, and then just at a high level what the actual calendar looks like?
So, yeah, we are doing the same Export League kickoff like this again next week, May 28th. That is along with the India Metro. So that people know the value. There is a resource for Indian businesses to save a lot of their hard-earned money, efforts to get into US in the right way. Even if someone is planning for any exhibitions coming to USA, this would give them a very good platform to make use of the plans they are coming to visit. And the next thing, once we start with the real program, this is as Jeremy has already posted in the chat box. Have just opened the registration page for those who are interested in Export League between India and USA. This is your go-to place to register. This gives you an idea of what role you will be getting, the timeline. So this runs from June to August. So from June, July, August, it's a 3-month league program where it starts from understanding the customs regulations and then US market entry and the business etiquette. So before the end of June, the participants will get the buyer database and the templates and the sales strategy customized for their business. And then with that, now they are prepared, they have positioning, they have to start connecting with the businesses in US. So that's where the July will focus on the cultural differences across the US, the marketing strategies that works in US, how usually what kind of words really capture the eyes of US businesses and they are ready to do business, and then we optimize, because by that time you would have already started the conversation with the US buyers with the help of our database and the marketing strategy. So this will give you even in the second month of starting the into the export league will help us to look into the progress, what has worked, what has not worked. There will be a presentation also in the month of July, that the July 31st, where we are talking about the marketing strategy for the US market, what you have understood, how you will be presenting your business. So we could optimize. And by that time, the whole team in as from Global Chambers, when we start to send out warm introduction, we have a solid proof. And this introduction will be based on how regular you are to the export league and how well prepared, how you are ready to launch the product into the US market or grow your product into the US market. And then the sales closing process happens that's the focus for August. So this is the calendar for Export League. And usually if we see something like this with all this data, strategy, traveling to US, booking on the meetings and all that, we can calculate, but this is coming at the very, very special price. So it's just USD $600 that you can straight away register using the link here. We are always open to questions. You can reach us through the emails. Yes, Jim, if you could also post the email where they could send us a message, or if they have more clarification they want to have, we can help them with that as well. So I hope it's clear what the Export League we would be doing. So we will be kickstarting the program by June 19th. That's the first live session with the expert we'll be starting with.
So 4 weeks from today.
Yes.
Any final comments, Maha, that you'd like to make?
This is a golden opportunity. A real businessman, I mean, I would always consider someone as serious about business. You're focused on where you could reach with your investment, with your efforts, with your abilities, how you can maximize the returns on your investment. So if you consider this is a golden opportunity for Indian exporters, you should definitely consider. And we are open to answer any questions regarding the same. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the support throughout. Doug, Cesar, Eugene, Jamie, it's an amazing team. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Maha. As was alluded to earlier, we have another event. Actually, we have several more events. It looks like this today. We do a lot of events at Global Chamber, but mainly we make connections. And when kind of more broadly we talk about connections, it's really kind of those 6 categories that I spoke about before. I hadn't really thought of it that way until today, and that question of, we talk about connections, we make connections, but ultimately we spend more of our time doing the groundwork of building the database, of asking questions, of being supportive, being helpful. And and I'll end with this last story, when I worked for DuPont, I felt invincible. I didn't realize that, like when the day I left DuPont, I felt emotionally, as I actually left the building from early retirement, I felt naked. I felt alone. I felt like I didn't have this brand supporting and protecting me, and I felt vulnerable to all sorts of things in the world. And all of us who are entrepreneurs have felt that, how vulnerable we can be because people don't notice us. Unless we have some world-beating product, we have to explain what it is. We have to make the product to be valuable, and then explain. It's hard work, and so we really work hard to make it as easy as possible. The story I wanted to mention was Bank of America. Most people have heard of Bank of America. They've been a member of Global Chamber from day one, and it's like, well, why does anybody need help if you're at Bank of America? They can. Everybody knows who they are. They can walk in anywhere and get in a meeting. Well, it turns out we help them a lot. And in fact, even just this week, there's a member of Global Chamber who's an exporter and an importer, and he's amazing. I've known him, and he's a friend as well, in addition to being an extraordinarily successful person. First of all, he wasn't on the radar screen of Bank of America yet. And so I was able to do that. They're both on the same advisory board at Global Chamber, but they never met each other. So it's like, how does that even happen? I don't know. But I made the introduction. I kind of, not forced, but I got them together. Arif Sermon, he's originally from Turkey. He's the fellow. He did a launch event. I got the Bank of America folks to go to the launch event. And then it was like, well, now what? It's like, well, then I made another introduction to make sure that they knew each other, that they'd been to the launch event and they had the conversation. Yesterday, or today is Thursday, Tuesday afternoon, Bank of America was at his office and they were having a very productive conversation. So that again was not a straight line. Business is not a straight line for any of us, even Bank of America. And so I think we understand enough of that whole process, whether it's a Bank of America or just any of us trying to do business, that we just want to help. And we're doing all the things that we think will help by knowing a lot of people and advising as much as we can, and professional and ethical and straightforward and as transparent as we feel people at Global Chamber or people in Export League will be able to take feedback to be able to make progress, because none of us have it all figured out. Few of us anyway. Maybe Tamina has it all figured out, but I know I don't have it figured out, and we collectively don't, and most people we work with don't. That's okay. We just want to help. And so, Maha, thank you for having that same spirit, that same knowledge and desire to improve other people's success. And that's what this is all about. Thanks everybody for joining today, and have a great rest of your day. Join in a week. Join the meeting that we have in a few minutes if you can. Jem, maybe put that in if we haven't already, put that in the chat area. And Cesar, are you still there? And would you like to make any final comments?
I am here, Doug. Yes. No, I think besides what we can offer as part of the Export League, there are plenty of other events and opportunities happening in Global Chamber. So you just mentioned you just invited everyone to join the one in 20 minutes. So we invite everyone to really check out our calendar and check out our LinkedIn group page and everything that we're doing with members, for members, and around the world. So thanks again, everyone, and looking forward to working with you.
Thanks, Maha. Have a good evening.
Yeah, thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, RT. Thanks for attending.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
We'll be in touch.